Welcome to the Love Your Work Life podcast, where you will get encouragement, strategies, all the things you need to love your work life. This is about transformational, strength-based coaching for career, for leadership, for life. I'm your host, Elissa Shuck. Let's get started. Just wanting to have a new job, just wanting to get out of the toxic workplace, or wanting to make that career pivot or transition isn't enough. That's why in this week's episode, I'm going to walk you through some practical exercises. Get out your journal, get out your notebook, because you're going to want to do these things to help you clarify your career story. Because it's in knowing your story and grabbing out all of the value that you can out of it that helps you create a roadmap. The appreciation for what has been and what is now is the starting point for making a decision. And how do you know you've made a decision versus just wanting and wishing? Because a decision is always followed by action. We are all made of stories, and your career is a story too. And you might be thinking that it feels like a nightmare right now, or a horror story, or a comedy or a drama. It doesn't really matter. The cool thing about it is that you actually get to control your story. You are the author. And like any story, good stories have ups and downs, good times, drama. It's why we're drawn to stories in the first place and storytelling. Your career is no different. When it comes to your career, if you start blocking out the bits about the story that you don't like or uninteresting or boring, your story loses its power. There are great things about all of it. Even the tough times are part of what makes your career story interesting. After all, you're here because at some level you've made it to a place where you've come through, but you know it's time to transcend. You know it's time for more, and you're taking control of your story. I'm going to help you own all of it. Your career history is accumulated value. There is nothing about it that's a waste. And you're going to find the good stuff and leverage it towards what you want. You might be at the cliffhanger episode in your career series right now, but don't worry. You get to write the next episode. Step 1 is clarify your career story. It's so important for you to look at it, own it, and understand how it actually supports you in whatever you want to do. What's that old saying? Those who do not learn from history are doomed to repeat it. It's possible, of course, that we're doomed to repeat the negative. But what if there's stuff we'd actually like to repeat because we know our history? Those great career experiences. You know what I mean? It's the kind of community and contribution that happens only at work. It's those relationships, that culture, the times that you lock arms and overcome a challenge together. It's a unique opportunity, and it's why we love work. I really believe it's why we're attracted to it. And that's why, as you start this career coaching journey, you'll take a closer look at your career history. There's good stuff in there. When you find it, you'll know better how to leverage it to get more of what you want, whether it's a new job, a promotion, or a significant career pivot. The first part of this in finding the value in your story is to take a chronological look from your very first job to your present, or if you're in job search mode and currently not working, then make it your most recent. I want you to include your beginning and ending salary in that role or company. Briefly list your favorite accomplishment in that role. You can do it in an Excel spreadsheet, in a journal, anything that helps you just chronologically list all of the things. I don't want you to leave anything out either. And if you do write it down, that's so much more helpful. Our brains just work better at slowing down the process and getting into higher levels of critical thinking when you're writing something down. Now, once you've done this, it's time to be honest with yourself about how you feel about your career. This isn't judgment. This is just intentional thinking, because by acknowledging your feelings, you're giving them space. When you try to resist the negative feelings, all they do is get stronger. All they do is try to get louder. It's like a little kiddo in the back seat, kicking and screaming. As soon as you acknowledge them, you give them space. And when you give them space, you're making room for change instead of letting feelings of regret, frustration, and disappointment spin around in your brain and prevent you from taking the action that you want. So think about it this way. On a scale of 1 to 10, rank how you feel about your career so far. 1 could be dreadful and 10 could be fabulous. If it's not a 10, what would you have to think to make it a 10? Again, this isn't about identifying gaps, what if moments, or regrets. This is your opportunity to decide what you would think if your career was a perfect 10, if everything about it had useful value. It's your opportunity to go from unintentional thoughts, that just default thinking, those well-worn neurological pathways about your career story, to intentional thoughts. It's looking for the good stuff on purpose. What can you appreciate about your career story so far? And if you could do something differently, what would it be? Again, not because it was bad, but because there were other opportunities that maybe you passed by for some reason. If you could do it differently, what would that be? It's all about finding the career moments that matter. I love this quote by Wayne Dyer. Change the way you look at things, and the things you look at change. So powerful. Ask what was right about it. By doing that, you'll start to see your unique value add. You'll realize that even though your career might not have been everything you envisioned, you can include all of the good stuff and transcend both the good and the things that you don't like about your history. There's that accumulated value I've been talking about, and it travels with you. It's time to look a bit more intently in the quote, what I call good rear view mirror. Take a moment now and write out 10 favorite career moments. You started building that out with your chronological order, but those were brief. I want you to build that out a little bit. I want to have you build more detail into it. Are those career moments relational? Are they about the teams, customers, clients, leaders, and people you interacted with? Maybe it's about skills you added, times of professional development, a promotion you worked really hard to achieve. Maybe you love overcoming challenges and obstacles. What do those moments look like? Those are those rear view mirror moments that count. So take some time, pick out 10. Up to 10. Hey, if you can think of more, even better. But make yourself get to 10 so that you're really starting to chip away at any blocks that you might have about your career and uncover those amazing, amazing moments that matter. Now, I want you to jump to the present moment. If you had to pick your favorite things about what you're doing now or what you've done most recently, what would they be? What are the things you dislike about what you're doing? This is going to be helpful, and this is because knowing what you like and knowing what you don't like is very powerful. Ultimately, you want to focus on what you like, but it's good to have that moment to sort things out. So take the time to do that. We're going to take those likes and dislikes and we're going to do something with them that feels a little counterintuitive, because I want you to start big and drill down to more and more detail. Think of this as reverse engineering. We're also tapping into your brain physiology, because when you envision what you want with vividness and emotion, your brain knows what to focus on. When you know what you want in great detail, it's much easier to envision yourself living it and then find it. If you followed me for a while, you know it. I love talking about the reticular activating system in our brain. This is the mechanism that when you start creating a picture, the reality you see will start aligning to the picture. So enjoy this process. You're giving your brain something to chew on. And by doing so, you're starting to create a reality around those little inklings that have been bouncing around in your mind for some time. What if all those likes in the past were a job description? It's time to create this personal job description. Forget what's out there. Forget job postings you've seen. This is like designing something just for you. No self-editing. Your job description is all the stuff you like and nothing that you don't like. No thinking about the how it could ever happen either. Don't start worrying about the how just yet. This is the time to really pick the things for you. It's like if you were customizing a home and you went into the design studio, what would be the things that you picked? You wouldn't compromise, right? If money were no object, if you could have anything you wanted, there would be no compromise in those options. I want you to think that way too. Zero compromise, zero editing. Think of it like this. If you could wave a magic wand and create the perfect job, how would you describe it? What are you doing? What industry are you in? Who are you working with? It's totally cool to dream big right now. This is laying such an amazing foundation for you for being able to move forward in your job search with clarity and confidence and just a vision of what you want. It makes it go so much faster. It's about making the connection between what you've done and what you want to do. It's powerful because when you connect the dots for yourself, you start to feel in control. You see the potential evolving into reality. When you connect the dots for yourself, you also have the ability to share your career value in a way that helps others see those common denominators. And this is what you're going to have to do when you're creating your resume, when you're doing those interviews. So trust me, knowing this now is making the next steps in your job search so much easier. You'll have the ability to give a recruiter, hiring manager, and team a picture that assures them your move is the most logical next step in your career. This is a powerful ability to have. You remove doubt and you replace it with confidence. The common denominators between your career history, your ideal job description, skills and strengths, and the real life positions and job posts. What you've been thinking isn't just wishful, it's absolutely possible. Keep in mind, when you have clarity, means you processed all the stuff that would be baggage, and you're elevating your thoughts and feelings and vision for what's possible for you. You are at a milestone moment. If everything you want is on the other side of the next action you take, it all starts with a decision. If you don't make the decision, you're going to stay where you are. Whatever is motivating to you, you have my support. because it's time to decide what you're going to do about all that you've learned about yourself. Do this work, figure out what's awesome about you, and then decide what you want, and not only that, that you're worth what you want. And I'll talk to you again soon. If you like listening to this podcast, I invite you to visit the Love Your Work Life website at elissashuck-careercoach.com. On the site, you're going to find free resources and information about all of my coaching programs, everything you need to land a great job, advance your career, and lead and build an awesome team. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to this podcast, and don't forget to follow me on LinkedIn.